Alright, here is the 2006 Honda Odyssey that we replaced the timing belt tensioner on about 1.5 years ago now. And this van, it's been a really good van. It's got 265,000 miles on it. But we've got something going on that needs to be addressed. And that would be that it's leaking some sort of oil, and we're pretty sure it's power steering fluid. It's been a little bit of an issue for a little while. So today, I want to change the power steering fluid pump and the hoses. There's the parts right there. That's the plan for today. Here is the pump right here on top of the engine. So it's not too hard to get to. I'll need to get the belt off, which can be a little bit of a pain. I can't remember how hard it was on this one. I feel like it was a little bit of a pain. But yeah, these Odysseys tend to have a little bit of issue with the power steering, making noise, whining and stuff. Man, I don't know if I really want to replace that hose. I have to get way under there. I might just replace the pump and the O-ring and see if that fixes it, and then do the hose at a later date. I've actually had these parts for the van for like 2 years or more, probably before we did the timing belt tensioner, because we took this van camping across the country a few years ago, and it was leaking power steering fluid, I think, at that time already. We think that's the only issue here. I'm noticing around the valve cover and stuff, it looks pretty dry on the engine, so I don't really think it's leaking up there. If it does have an oil leak, it's probably down lower, maybe a crankshaft seal type issue if there is an engine oil leak. Let's just get into it. We'll see where we end up. Where do I start? I think we're gonna start with trying to get the belt off. Just jump right in. Man, this is messy in here. There is so much black on my power steering pump way down there. Stay on track. Timing belt tensioner. I don't have a big enough wrench here to get on this bolt that holds this pulley on for the power steering pump, so I could try to just use a socket, I guess. It's 19. Man, if I could just get an impact on here, it'd be so much easier. Oh, man. This thing is down in there. You can see that shiny? That's my socket on the bolt down there. The upper one is easy to get to over here. That one's a pain. Mission accomplished. Sort of, we're on it. Okay, now I just need to pop this thing free. Perfect. Okay. There it is. I got the bolt out. Alright, got the other bolt out. That was pretty easy. Now the pump is definitely loose. So that's good. Should probably take off the hoses now. I'll do the low pressure first. It's probably gonna get all messy. That doesn't look the right color for power steering fluid to me. Gosh, what on earth is that stuff? Why would my power steering fluid be green? So this is my low pressure going into the pump. Okay, so I'm a little confused by that. I'm wondering if there's more than one issue going on here. I checked, the coolant is blue, so there's nothing that should be green in this car. I checked the reservoir has more green fluid in there too. And I checked the brand new power steering fluid, and this is kind of clear. I'm thinking what's going on here is probably just really, really dirty fluid, or a system that's contaminated, basically, like it's open somehow, like water's gotten in there, or rust, or something like that. So I kind of think we should flush the system if we can. We're going to move forward with taking that off. Probably should have done this before I unbolted it, because then I would have had something to brace against. There we go. All right. Oh yeah. That's perfect. Oh yeah. Since the splines hold, this doesn't have to be on super tight, so I'll just give it a little pop. Alright, so that's ready to go back on. Now I just have to figure out what I'm going to do about the hose. See how I can get under there. Get that thing off. Probably need to jack the car up at this point and see if I can get under there. This car's been clanking a little bit going over bumps because of front end wear, and well, yeah, you can kind of see right there, that doesn't look very good. Pretty torn apart. See if we can get this wheel off and get some room underneath there. Power steering line goes all the way back over across there. I don't know if you can really see which one it is, but it comes down from the top up there and then goes down across the back. All right, well, I found the other end of the line. It's right there. So the line comes all the way across the back side of the car and it's held on a bracket right here. And it's really crowded under here. I want to see if I can get under the van better to figure out how to replace that high pressure hose, because I really like to replace it while I'm here. I did buy fluid, so I should have plenty of fluid, and I'll probably need my suction pump to try to suck all the fluid out of the reservoir. And then I've read up on it a little bit about turning the steering wheel all the way from side to side with the hose off of the reservoir so you can get all the fluid pumped out of the system. And I may do that a few times as well, and then start putting new fluid in there and just keep pumping until I can get all that green colored fluid out. If I can't get that off, then I can't really change that line out very well. Either I just leave this like this is and try to figure that out, or I just go ahead and replace the pump and the O-ring on top of the pump and try to change out the fluid, which only helps the leak if the leak was in that O-ring or somehow internally in the pump out the bearings, which I don't really know if that was the issue. The system looks like it's kind of leaking like all over the place. I think the fluid needs to be flushed out anyway. So at this point, maybe I will just leave the line in there for now, and that might be a separate later project. So this is the line going to the low pressure side of the pump. This is the return line. So I feel like you would want to take off this return line from the, I don't know, the cooling system or whatever, and then try to get as much fluid out of there as possible. If we can get a catch basin somewhere. Let's get messy. Up. All right, we are back at it. This is the third day working on this, but it's also my last opportunity to work on this before my dad gets home, and I want to have this back at his house by the time he gets home late tonight. So anyway, plan is to flush the power steering fluid out and get the new pump in there with the new O-ring on the high pressure line and get this back over there. And I don't know if we will have fixed any issues, but at the very least we fixed a problem we found, which is that the fluid is bad. And if the leak was caused by the pump or that O-ring, then we may have fixed that leak. Let's do it. Wow. Maybe somebody put an additive in here. That is orangish green. Now I need to find this hose over here. Making a mess, but it's already a mess in here. I need some hose to get in here, because this is where the fluid's gonna come out. Start seeing if I can pump anything out. Here, whoa, yuck, that stuff is nasty. Okay, so I cycled the steering approximately 3 times all the way back and forth. I'm gonna try to do a little more, see if I can get more out. All right, it's pretty good. I wish I could get fluid into the high pressure line and continue to suck it all the way through till I get clear, but I don't know that I have a really good way to do that. With that said, let's try to get the pump installed, and it's gonna be pretty simple, just those 2 bolts that hold the flanges on there, and then get the belt on. So let's do it. I'm gonna time lapse. All right, that was quick and easy. From here you can pretty well see those two bolts that hold the pump on. One is right there, and the other one is right up here. Right there. So pretty easy to put back in, easier than coming out. And now we need to get the O-ring replaced on this line here so we can install it there. Yeah, I think I may put some fluid in the reservoir and try to flush it out, and then hook up the hose to the power steering pump so that I can start sucking fluid through the whole system and try to charge it that way, if that makes sense. Just see if I can get fluid all the way through the system, the fresh fluid, and maybe try to keep getting stuff out of the return line from the reservoir until it starts changing colors back to a good color. So here's the O-rings. They're pretty small, of course. Here's where they're going, but I'm not sure why I have two O-rings, quite honestly. As far as I know, there's just one O-ring. So I have to see which of them fits on there. See if I can get this one off. So that worked better than expected. I was able to take an old zip tie I found lying around and poke it up under that O-ring. So now I should be able to use this to help pry the O-ring off of here without scratching anything, because the zip tie is plastic. The zip tie is basically a disposable fingernail. There, I think that might work. That O-ring did not look bad. Right. Yeah, that was nice and easy. So now, I'm gonna pull this off of here. And this goes down in there. I wonder if you're supposed to use both of those O-rings. I'm gonna run it like this, and if that doesn't work, it's not hard to put the other O-ring on there as well. Good. All right, that feels good. I want to go ahead and put the belt on because this thing's in the way of everything right now. And if I spill any more oil around in here, it may be nice to have the belt on first. All right, so I kind of had a moment there. I was trying to put the belt on, which was not working out real well because the belt's really floppy and trying to twist on me. But I forgot I wasn't holding my tensioner with all the tension released. There's a little bit that was being released, but not nearly all of it. Once I did that, release the rest of the tension with the pry bar, made it a lot easier. So now that that's behind us, let's go ahead and see if we can flush out the reservoir a little bit, and then pop it back in there and start seeing if we can cycle fluid through the system, and we should be about done. So what I just did there was poured some power steering fluid into the reservoir, emptied it out a few times, just trying to get it cleaned out. Then I hooked up the outlet to the power steering pump onto the pump right here, and we started putting fluid in here and cranking the wheel back and forth both ways so that fluid would start coming back out the outlet, which is right here, comes from over here. I made a mistake at first. I was filling up the reservoir to get fluid to suck into the system, and I forgot that this port on the side here was open because I had that hose disconnected for the inlet. Anyway, I had someone helping me, so it worked out well, and we got a bunch of nasty fluid out, and by the end there, it looked like it was starting to be a little more clear and a little more tackier, not quite so thin and runny. I probably flushed 12 ounces or a little more through there. I hooked everything back up again, then cycled the steering wheel again, and topped off the fluid again. So now we're just about ready to start it, but I want to put the front wheel back on that I took off over here so that when I start it up, it's ready to run and drive. But I am curious if this thing is gonna be leaking or not. Let's fire it up. I'll be checking for leaks right around in there, and actually really anywhere. The fluid level is fine. I'm gonna go crank the wheel back and forth side to side and see if anything happens. Looks like we might have a leak here. Oh yeah. The hose is our ultimate culprit, and the hose is what we did not change out. So, alright guys, so we got the power steering fluid pump changed on the Odyssey, but it turned out that wasn't really exactly the problem. It may have been a part of a problem, but I didn't properly diagnose things in the first place because I didn't really do a whole lot of diagnosis. I just knew there was a leak, and I didn't try to have someone else help me test and see what was leaking. So after we replaced the pump, I was able to see with someone else turning the wheel, so activating the power steering. Then I could see when it was under load that the hose was starting to expand and leak fluid. So I think we're gonna have a video coming up pretty soon about changing that out. So as always, stay safe, keep making stories, and we'll catch you guys next time.